In this video, I'll be unboxing the new Gomexus spool. It's a BFS spool for the Daiwa Tatula TW80, and we're gonna do some cast testing. So yeah, this is gonna be a pretty long, exciting video, so you can utilize the chaptering tool to navigate through the video. With that said, let's get started. Alright, before we get started with the unboxing video, I'm gonna give you a quick backstory. Early this year, around March of 2023, Gomexus had reached out to me and expressed to me that they were interested in jumping on the after spool market specifically for bait finesse. And I was very excited to hear, because if there's any company that want to put out BFS products out there, that means the BFS community will continue to grow. So this niche will continue to grow, and we are seeing a lot more bait finesse stuff in US mainstream. So that's pretty cool. And behold, finally, they got the new spool released, and note that the Tatula 80 spool right here is being sold extremely cheap on their website right now, under $30 for early adopters. Their goal is to get feedback. So if you have a Tatula 80 and you want to try some bait finesse fishing, give this spool a try and always write reviews. Okay, you write reviews on their page, or you guys can send them a message on whatever social media platforms you use and let them know what you think about this spool. Because the more feedback you let Gomexus know, they're gonna refine this spool and also potentially future spools. All right, the Tatula 100 just came out, and the Tatula 100 shares the same spool as its predecessor. So it's gonna be really cool to see if Gomexus will bring out a Tatula 100 spool and many other spools. All right, so for those who get this spool, once again, please provide them feedback. All right. And one more thing, I actually don't own this reel right here. I don't own a Daiwa Tatula TW80. Let me just make a quick post on Facebook, and guess what? Many people who had the Tatula 80 reached out saying they're interested, but of course I offered to the first person who reached out and said they were interested. So thank you, Michael Williamson, for shipping this reel to me for cast testing. Whenever I am done with my cast testing, I will ship this reel back to you with the extra spool. So once again, thank you, Gomexus and Michael Williamson. All right, folks, let's do an unboxing of this spool. All right, so this thing came in this square box. It's like a display box. Doesn't really say much on the box itself. You're gonna need to keep this box if you want to store your spool, because, well, it didn't come with a, this style of spool holder, spool case. All right, so you want to keep this so that you can put your stock spool in here or your BFS spool. Here's the first look of the spool. You can see the line capacity information is on the spool itself. Y'all could read that if y'all want. And this is not a ported spool. And sorry for all that fingerprints, because well, there's a little bit of grease here, and I already took a look at it right before I recorded. But anyway, as you see, there's no bearings here, just like the stock spool. The bearings is on the side plate and also in the reel itself. So we'll be doing cast testing today with the stock size bearings. What else do we see here? You see the side right here. The ramp here is smooth, kind of like a rounded upward, contoured upwards versus a sharp corner. I don't know if that's gonna impact the reel or not, or if lines gonna slide out. But we should definitely want to look at the gap, okay, because we are going to be using thin lines. We don't want the line to get into the spool. Let's take a look. And I'm looking here. You probably can't see it, but there is a gap. There's a hole right there, okay. And yeah, I've seen worse than this, but it would be nice if this was just a little thicker, a little bigger. Let me just take a step back for a second. I got two other reels we'll take a look at. If you look at the Kestrel Elite, which does have a gap too, and I have gotten line into the Kestrel just a few times, not a lot. It's okay, like the hole right there, it's okay, all right? And then I have this guy here. This is the 2016 Audi bearing, and this has the raWr spool on, and you look at that, whoo, that gap is small, super small, like smallest one out of these three reels, all right? So, is it a concern that line gets trapped in here? Heck yes, I have concern. But we won't know until we actually go out and do some cast testing and also do some extensive fishing. All right, so a minor yellow flag, because like I said, the Kestrel has about the same gap, have a little bit issue, but different reels, you will never know. Let's take a look at the two spools together anyway, because I do want to talk about the braking module. So if y'all want to see the depth difference, here y'all go. All right. And you know what? While we have this spool right here, I do want to put this back in here. And let's take a look at the gap on a stock spool, because if you think about it, right, they might have taken the exact specs from the stock spool. And I'm looking at stock spool, and yeah, there is a gap there. If it focuses for y'all, yeah, there is a gap on the top right there. And it looks like to me, visually to me, that the hole right there, the gap, is the same as Gomexus. So Gomexus may have just taken the specs of the stock spool, but the stock spool is not used with thin line, the super BFS thin line. So potentially if they were to expand it just a little bit, that might prevent line going in there. But like I said, I don't know how this reel is going to behave with this and with the lines that I'll be using. So it's something that Gomexus should consider if they were to continue to build spools, is to, you know, eliminate that gap. So anyways, let's take this back out and leave this here. And let's take a look at the braking cup, the inductor cup. As you see, unlike raWr spools are fixed inductor cups. Okay, and this one right here will move, so it will be dynamic. And you can see that this guy is ported here, so it will make the spool lighter. Now, the Tatula TW80 uses the old MagForce braking module. You can say that is the lowest end of the MagForce braking dynamic module, right? It just go in and out. That's it. So if it spins very fast, the spool right here is going to shoot out further. And if it doesn't need it, it'll retract. That is it. So it's extra or no extra, right? Extra braking, no extra braking. But if you look at this guy here, if you take a look at that white plastic right there, you see that? It doesn't just go out. It actually twists. So as it slows down, instead of just shutting down completely, it actually slowly retracts. Okay? So this gives a more smooth cast. Instead of sudden jerk, when it say on or off, it slowly turns off. So it will smoothing out your cast, may lead to longer cast. I don't know, because you know this is an aftermarket spool. But yeah, the SV spools are really, really amazing from Daiwa. So it's really cool to see that a BFS spool will have SV style braking. So I can't wait to show y'all how this spool works. Anyway, let's weigh these spools. I'll weigh the stock spool first, and then we'll weigh the Gomexus spool. And what I like about these spools here, it doesn't have the bearing on, so I don't need to take anything off during my unboxing video. So stock spool, 15 grams. So that's pretty heavy. All right. And now let's put the Gomexus spool. 6.54. So that's a huge reduction. This is a pretty good weight, especially for a conversion spool. So very, very impressive. It is spinning. Okay, and this is 0 brakes. So if I just turn this whole dial, this is so hard to turn. We are now at 20 max brakes. Oh yeah, so we know the braking will work for this, so that's good. Very, very good. So let's talk about the cast testing details. I actually went out and already done my cast testing, which is the next portion of this video, but let me give you information about what I've done here. So as you see, I have put line on here already, and this is the NACO Taipan X8 braid, and I use 0.8 go, and I have 130 feet of line. And 130 feet of line, you can see that it's almost to the rim. Almost to the rim. Yeah, I usually put 125 feet on my spools, but since they said, I think they said, let's take a look right here. And I gotta flip it upside down because there's only one print. It would be pretty cool if they actually print the information on the spool, and one side is upside down so that left-hand retrieve, right-hand retrieve folks could see the details regardless. But I guess it doesn't matter because once you put line on here, you can't even see it anyway. But anyway, 0.8 go, you put 50 meters here, and I have 130 feet only. So is it 50 meters? Well, do the math, everyone. Do the math. But yeah, I got 130 feet of 0.8 go, and then I have 4 feet of leader material, and that is the Varivis Absolute CB mono. And for a cast testing session, I'll be using the Tsurinoya, the Clever, and this is the ultralight rod, 2 pieces. You could get this at Bait Finesse Empires. And for the lures I'll be throwing today, behold, I got a new cast testing box here, and yeah, we'll go over these lures as we cast them on the water. So let's get out there and see how well this spool works. All right, it's time to do the cast testing of this Gomexus spool. The first BFS spool for the Tatula 80. And right now I am gonna try to cast this baddie. I have a box full of lures. Let's see how low this thing can go. I'm gonna start with the heaviest one in my box. I got the Z-Man Shad Fries swim bait on a 1/16 ounce jig head, their latest finesse shad heads, 1/16 ounce. The total weight of this rig here is about 2.9 grams. So I have this thing set up already, this reel, tension, set up properly. The way I have it is the tension knob as loose as possible, but there's no side-to-side play on the spool. Pretty much the zero adjuster, right? That's how Daiwa configure all their reels with a zero tension adjuster. And I am at 8 breaks. Let's cross our fingers. Hopefully everything works well. Whee! All right, so it goes out. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. You know, this is a really standard size weight here, so I expected to cast pretty easy. Not bad at all. I can lower the brakes a little bit. Let's put this at the 6. 1 and 2. 6. All right, this is it with the wind and everything. Whee! All right, that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. I could definitely do better if I had thinner line. Do know that the stock bearings and everything, you know, they're standard size too here. So I don't expect to go that super crazy light, but this is not bad. It's pretty impressive. Pretty impressive. And now the wind is slowing down, I'm gonna do one more cast because I think I could probably put the brakes down a little bit more to 4. Let's try it. Oh, there's the overspooling. That was some crazy overspooling right there. But yeah, I think the brake 6, which is pretty much standard for most Daiwa reels, like anywhere between brake 6 to 8. That's what I have it. Okay, so yeah, I say this spool is pretty impressive. Brake 6. Don't do brake 4. Yeah, that's brake 6 right there. Beautiful. Brake power 6. All right, we're gonna cast this one more time. The wind died down. Brake 6. That is beautiful. That is pretty good distance. All right, let's just count the number of cranks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 cranks. And I don't know the IPT for this, but that is a pretty good distance if you ask me. So let's change lure. Let's go lighter and see how low this can go with the stock size bearing of the Tatula 80. All right, the next lure I'm gonna throw, Euro Tackle B-Vibe, 2-inch, 1/16 ounce jig head, total weight, 2.66 grams. And the wind is here once again, but the brake's gonna be set to 6. I'm gonna leave it at 6 because I feel comfortable with that. And once the wind dies down, we're gonna cast this little sucker. All right, it died down a little bit, but the, the wind is still here, but it is what it is. YOLO. All right, that is pretty good distance, but the wind did pull it. It pulled it to the left a little bit, but if I were to estimate how that cast, it went out pretty straight, pretty good, pretty easy. Not too bad. We're gonna do it one more time. Yeah, you can see that the line is being pulled by the wind, but I am casting, and it's not really backlashing at brake 6, so I have to say the brakes is pretty good on here. Okay, and we're gonna cast right into the wind. Not bad distance. I really like this spool for definitely a light tackle rod, especially if you're not gonna change the bearings. Okay, if you leave it as stock bearings, you know, you still could do this 1/16 ounce jig head plus plastic. Let's lower the weight to something else and see how well it do. I'm just gonna jump to the Z-Viber, okay, a 1/16 ounce lipless crank. Let's go. All right, as we get lighter and lighter, the test is gonna get more extreme, especially with the wind picking up. But here we are. with the Z Viber, the larger version, okay? And this is about 1.6 something grams, closer to 1.7. Let's go. And it goes out. It went left a little bit. I want to say that is probably the wind, but I'm gonna do it one more time. But it is going out, and it's going out pretty good distance. Yeah, that was just the wind, but I am backlashing. You see I'm over spooling, so it's potentially something's happening. I don't know. I don't know what's happening. Why is it over spooling? It's casting out pretty well. It's probably likely just the wind, so we're gonna try it one more time. Yeah, that was just the wind, and yeah, it's going out. Very impressive. So 1.6 grams. It's passing. This is surpassing my expectations. Without micro bearings, you could do this with stock bearings. That is pretty good. These are normal size bearings, stainless steel, you know, your typical Daiwa bearings, and I'm casting this at ease, very accurate, and at very, very good distance. That's pretty nice. Let's go lighter, shall we? All right, one of my favorite lures of all time for creek fishing, and that is the Eurotackle EPF Swim 1-inch swim bait, and I have it on a 1/32 ounce jig head, size 6 hook, and this total weight here is 1.33 grams. If you could do this, woo, and you could do this, oh man, you could so do this, and it's good distance, like impressive distance, and this is 0.8 goal line. Okay, if I had thinner line, it probably goes a little bit better. Now, it did went left a little bit. I feel like it's starting to not be accurate, just a little bit. But we have a lot of wind here, so it's really hard to say. Like, I could compensate my cast just like that, and I could, you know, get it accurately with wind and, you know, the weight here. So maybe it's just me, but let me just cast one more time. Roll cast. All right, so roll cast, pretty accurate, but the roll cast caused a little bit of a overspooling due to the wind here. So it's all about the flick cast during this type of a situation when you have wind. And that did go to the left. So yeah, depending on the cast, sometimes it's accurate, sometimes not. Sometimes there's a overspooling, as you see here. So this is getting closer and closer to a limitation. It's all about having your thinner line now, and also your skill in thumbing and casting. All right, the next lure I'm gonna throw is gonna be the VMC, their fly tungsten jig, and this is the 1/32 ounce version, which is gonna be 0.8 grams. Weighted, and it's actually the same weight as the trout magnet. Quick story, trout magnet, the last few packs that I've purchased, it's no longer 1 gram or, you know, around the 0.9 gram level. It's actually between 0.78 to 0.82 grams. So it's very similar to this right here. So I'm not gonna cast the trout magnet. I'm gonna cast this guy specifically for this cast testing video due to the wind, because this guy here is a little bit more compact and it cut through wind a lot easier. So let's see if this could cast a, let's say a 0.8 gram lure. All right, let's go. All right, so what? I just casted it and it went out pretty accurate. Distance is pretty good too. Okay, now it's a little off. Okay, it's a little off. It's going to the left. It's going to the left. So yeah, the limitation of this spool here is right around the, you know, 1 gram level, because the previous lure I've thrown was 1.3 and this is 0.8, right? So I would say around a 1 gram level if you use the stock bearings. If you swap to micro bearings, obviously you could do this a lot easier. Like, I can see potential. Like, I can see potential of this going down even further a little bit, maybe the 0.5 gram mark. But I won't be testing that because this is not my reel. And I'm not gonna upgrade this to micro bearings and test it, you know what I'm saying? But I would say this spool here is not bad for its performance. Sorry for the wind noise. I can't pick my days lately because I've been sick for the past 5 weeks, but it is what it is. Thank God for cost drops, because without it, woo. But this spool right here, pretty amazing. I like it. And if you wanna give it a shot, early adopters, this is your opportunity to do so because it is being sold really cheap. Link in the description below. The reason, once again, is so that Gomexus could get some feedback. And for my feedback for Gomexus is that this spool here, I think you could definitely increase the gap between the spool and the housing of the reel itself. Although I didn't really have line trapped in there, that is likely because I had the brakes turned on pretty high because of all the crazy wind, right? And also, I'm using 0.8 goal. And if people are using 0.6, they may run into some issues. But for the casting impression for the spool, pretty darn impressive. I was able to cast pretty light lures, and if I were to cast any lighter than, let's say, 2 grams, I'll probably use a real BFS reel instead, so I could maximize my experience. But some folks who don't have BFS reels and want to give it a shot, you already own this reel, get the spool, because it actually works really well, even with the stock bearings. Once again, thank you Gomexus for giving me this opportunity to test the spool. And also thank you Michael for sending me this reel so I could actually test the spool. I'll be sending this reel back to you with the spool and some stickers and some other lures. And also, thank you all for watching this video. You guys have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. Once again, the link is in the description below if you want to get this spool. Thank you for watching. The fish don't wait.